Well, first of all, there is a trap that is set a lot of times when you're doing a major migration. And I can't tell you how many times with our data catalog solution and our data governance services that we've talked to people who say this exact thing to me. Hey, we're too busy with this major implementation project to focus on our data governance initiative. Implying when we are done with this, then we will go focus on data governance. Now that is a reasonable thing to think. Like, there's a limited amount of time, and you've got this major thing in front of you. The kind of fallacy here is to think that a data governance is something that can or should be sort of in sequence with this, it doesn't have an influence on a positive influence on your implementation. Also, your implementation can't have a positive influence on your data governance initiatives. We'll talk about both those in a second. But another way to think about that is, you might say, hey, in a different kind of world, hey, we're all too busy with our software development project to learn about agile development practices or to learn project management. Obviously, having good project management or having that good agile software development practices can help make your software development project run smoother, be more effective, have better outcomes, right? So, and it is sometimes hard to say, hey, let's stop and take a few minutes or a few days or whatever to create some new processes and tracking to for the long run to create better utility and performance on that process. Another kind of silly version is, hey, I'm also too busy planning my big dinner party to bother to get my oven fixed, right? So you're not going to be super successful unless you have that. All right, so that's the trap we need to avoid. So how is the fact that you have this major project beneficial or positive opportunity for data governance? And the reality is that, if you think about data governance as a and data cataloging as an opportunity to improve your intelligence and knowledge around your data, there is no better opportunity than when you are, already going through a process to evaluate and touch all your data and reports, right? So the best time to document and capture and curate information around how you and your organization use data is as you create new reports or make decisions around your reports. So as you're documenting decisions and specifications as you go, that's the best way to build up that data intelligence, one kind of new report at a time and one evaluation. And so this is the as you build curation documentation and the emergent content that comes out of that. Without going into too much details, what we mean is if you document a report, an old report, in order to build a new one that works just the same, you're going to make decisions around, oh, this thing had a field on it called first year student. How was that getting calculated? And maybe that was never written down or documented anywhere, and you have the opportunity now to kind of reverse engineer that old report, create a new glossary entry for how you are defining first year student, and then figure out, well, where does this live in the new system, or in the data warehouse or the APIs, and document that, and create a new resource for anytime anyone self-service or packaged report is going to build that, use that attribute moving forward. So that's an emergent content. The glossary term is a good emergent content in documenting a particular report. So it's not just about having documentation for the one report, but building up all the glossary terms and calculations and things that are important and useful for other things. The other is that a lot of these projects, as you're doing a major implementation, you form these committees and teams that might be data committees or whatever. If you don't already have a data governance organization or stewardship structure in your organization, this is a good opportunity maybe to leverage this project to help build those things out and create some lines of communication and lines of process and approval and review. So if you can identify and empower data stewards who are really the subject matter experts and data owners, with sort of a processes to help them make data decisions related to the project, those can become essentially the same as the data decisions related to ongoing data governance or data curation as well. And so again, the project itself can help feed your data governance initiative, to get it off the ground, as opposed to being conflicting with each other. And it is, in fact, it is harder to get data stewards to participate. It's harder to go back and curate old reports after they're done, right? So that, hey, after we're done with this project, we're going to go back and do this stuff. Almost nobody does that effectively, right? After the project, you can sort of start and say anything new that we're doing, we're going to curate. But going back in time and revisiting all those decisions that you made is something that is, not likely to happen. So the return on investment you get of applying data governance to the project, though, is you can get more efficient work, reduce rework and duplicated work, more accurate results, more trust in the data, and then have that knowledge base for the future to move forward, for new reports that are written or new self-service or new documentation. You've captured all that information, not just in spreadsheets and emails and people's brains who are part of that project, but in a catalog and governed and approved metadata resource. So this whole like measure twice, but once thing is really true as well. If you've got a team of 10 people writing a bunch of reports, and you want to make sure that they're all doing things the same way. If you sort of say, oh, this is how we're defining this, everyone knows how to use that. And also they're not, if they're trying to decide how we're supposed to define this, that before they go and write that report and find out 6 months later that they did it wrong and have to redo it, and whatever kind of damage it came from having the wrong data there, they can get that routed to the right people to approve or review that, oh, that is how we should be defining that term, or how that gets calculated as well.